Good morning. Friday morning, everybody. It's almost the weekend, and we're excited to be here. We are here with some rock stars from my alma mater, Utah State University. Go Aggies. We've got Kenneth, we've got Ludovic, we've got Neil. I should be sporting a USU shirt, but I'm not. I don't think I have one. Kenneth, we need a hookup is what we need. And we're, of course, joined by our good friend and fearless leader, Melissa Loble, who's our CXO over here at Canvas and Instructure. So what we're going to do for everybody who's joining us, you know how this goes. We want you to drop in the comments who you are and where you're from, what institution you're a part of. We're going to go through some cool things that USU is doing to help their teachers get up and running in the new school year. We'll answer questions throughout. Melissa and I will pepper them with questions, I have no doubt, throughout the whole process. We promise will be easy. Kenneth, Neil, and Ludovic. So with that, Melissa, let's hand it over to you to kick things off.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Mark. And hey, it's great to be here, everyone, especially with such a great team from USU. So yeah, fall is upon us, or spring, depending on where in the world you are and watching this. And regardless of that, school year has started. And with that, there's a lot of really great things that are happening out in the community with our customers and with our users. So we wanted to make sure we focused on sharing those great things in these regular live streams with you all. I know you're used to watching them. If this is your first time viewing, welcome to this. And please use these as resources. Share these resources with your students if appropriate, and use this as an opportunity to learn and get ideas around how you may want to better support starting this new school term. So with that, like I said, we've got some really exciting things happening at Utah State, and wanted to have the team there share and even show you some of the great work that they've done to kick off what is really becoming a unique fall start for them. So if it's okay, Neil, I'm gonna turn to you pretty quickly here and ask you a little bit about some of the work that you've done with course templates and how that's helping to prepare your faculty for the fall, and maybe even show us a little bit.
I think you're on mute still, Neil.
I was trying to get away before I had that tunnel vision going on there. Can you hear me now?
All good.
We can.
Okay. Great. Well, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. So I'm just going to step back and to spring a little bit and not go too much over the details of what that transition was like, because there's certainly a lot of storytelling that's happened there. But one of the follow-ups that we got at Utah State University was, like many institutions, I ran into the need to transition rapidly to remote teaching. We had about 3 days to do it. And, you know, through quite a lot of work, quite a lot of effort, overall, it was I feel like we were pretty successful at pulling it off, all things considered. But one of the items of feedback that we got later on, when we went out for feedback, of course, with students, and we got quite a lot of feedback, which was definitely kind of apropos to the situation that helped us to really identify areas to focus on for this fall. And one of the items of feedback that we got from students was that they felt like they had, for those teachers who moved to Canvas, they felt like there was just a lot of variability in what they came across when they would enter a Canvas course, that they had a hard time finding content. And so we thought, well, going into this fall, we'll try to make that a little bit easier. And of course, we're doing a whole lot of training. We've been training people, hundreds of people, through workshops throughout the whole summer. But one of the things we've also been working to do is provide a little bit more of a jumping off point for people who are coming into Canvas. And so we worked with Kenneth, who's on the call here, and he helped us put together what you're looking at here, which is just something that's right there on the home page, and that's the ability for faculty to be able to view and then rapidly import a Canvas template. So so here we are, coming up. This is a fake course, of course, but coming up into a new course, a faculty member will see right here at the top an option to import a course template. Now we opted to have 2 templates that would just be readily available, and we, rather than calling them basic and advanced, we didn't want to provide any kind of a preconceived notion of what it would mean if you selected one or the other. We called one a visual template and one a bare bones template, and provided the ability to click and view those. I'm going to go ahead and just start the process of clicking import so you can watch that happen, but it's going to take a sec. So let's start out here. We'll just say we'll do the bare bones template in section 1. We'll let that get going, and then we'll hit the visual template in section 2. But faculty can click and view those courses before they get started. And what that really kicks off is a course import process, which took a little bit of work on Kenneth's part to figure out how to manage the permissions to actually make that possible. And he might want to provide some details on what he did there. But really here we've got, for our visual template, we've got something that's a bit more structured. We've got a built-in home page. We've got a link to the modules. We've got a generic graphic that can be replaced. And then within our modules, we have some boilerplate kind of introductory orientation page. And then within our modules, we have placeholders for a lot of content, and we have a kind of a boilerplate page for adding material, including lectures and activities and content. And of course, there's about 20 different ways you can skin a template and produce a course structure. The main goal here wasn't necessarily to say this is the perfect way of doing it, but rather to say there's some value in having some consistent structure and help with that. And then at the top, we have an unpublished module here, and this unpublished module provides information for the teacher on what kinds of things they can include in the various template pages. And then, so that's the visual template. The basic template we approach from the standpoint of saying what is going to stand on its own, whether or not the faculty member actually gets in there and does much. It's bare bones. This is just the very basics to allow a Canvas course to function. And this was really focused, as the visual template also had, but this was really focused on making sure we enabled the tools that teachers will need for remote teaching, like Zoom, our Kaltura, and Proctorio. These are all just automatically enabled so that we don't have to walk through that process as much. And then we also have posted here in a published module help for students. So instructions on how to navigate and use Canvas, how to use Proctorio, which is doing our virtual proctoring, and how to get help. So we felt like if somebody imported the bare bones template, it brings in helps for students, it brings in the right tools, and then it's just built around the modules page. So faculty, we have some instructor resources at the bottom, but then faculty can just load their files and their content into these modules, and it puts it in at least in somewhat of a consistent format. So that was the idea. We made these available for import. We've had these. We've gone on our website, and we've got a website that's focused on helping faculty to move forward into fall. It's called Keep Teaching, and on that page we have all sorts of resources for the many different formats that we're providing and teaching in. And in that we have tutorials on how to get in and use those templates and things. So that's one of the approaches we've been using with Canvas coming up to the fall. And I think it's also worth noting here that we're again, as always, looking at Canvas as kind of the jumping off point, the portal for so many of the tools that are necessary to be able to teach in various formats. So really this year, this fall, USU is teaching in fundamentally four different formats. We have pure online, which is all asynchronous. We have web broadcast, which is synchronous with Zoom. And then we have a hybrid face-to-face, as we're calling it, format, which is kind of an odd way to name it, but that's what we're calling it, where we have students in the class and then students participating remotely so we can keep our social distancing caps in our classrooms. And then if the class is small enough, we still have some face-to-face courses, but we're needing to kind of plan our contingencies in case a student needs to self-isolate or stay home because they're feeling sick. So in these cases, we have really four major technologies that are making this possible. We have Canvas, we have Zoom for our live web broadcast, we have Kaltura for our management of asynchronous video content, and we have Proctorio for virtual proctoring. And I would throw in, we've also picked up Atomic Assessments this summer, which has been really useful because it allows us to make a lot more interactive tutorials and integrates very nicely with Canvas. But in all of these cases, Canvas is that jumping off point. And so we're able to make that available to all of our faculty. So that's that.
I have a quick question for you, Neil.
Okay.
And I am a faculty member, not at USU, at another institution, and I'm lucky that I have a template as well that I get to start from, because it helps me as a faculty member not worry as much about how to structure Canvas and focus more on getting my good content and my interactions in Canvas to start. And then I can tweak it after. Are you seeing the same thing with your faculty, in that it gets stuff in there and gets them thinking about the teaching part first and not getting wrapped up in the, how do I put this nice picture here and how do I add these tabs there? Are you seeing sort of the same thing?
Yes, absolutely, and I really appreciate you clarifying that and pointing that out. That is really, in so many ways, what we're after here too. So we're really after two things: kind of trying to achieve a more consistent experience, but also, yes, get faculty past some of those initial hurdles of just getting some of these things set up, so that they can focus more on putting their content in and their teaching.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, especially as we're thinking about, like you said, ensuring a consistent student experience alongside trying to ramp some faculty pretty quickly in order to get those 4 different modes, which I think quite a number of institutions around the world are trying to do that. How do we have options for our students? And that just adds a layer of complexity for everyone. So great work. Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Well,
hey, Neil.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, Melissa. Don't hate me. Neil, walk everybody through it. I believe that part of the reason that this was done by USU was because students were a little bit overwhelmed or confused with all of the different templates. The students were asking for this, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is a direct response to student feedback that we got in our surveys.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I was about to hit you up, Kenneth, to share a little bit about some of this stuff that we've done, that you guys have done from a student perspective as well, right? How can they, thinking about those 4 modes, thinking about making it easier for them, could you share a little bit about what you've done around even just signing up for and participating in different modes of classes?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the challenges that we quickly discovered as we were leading into fall is that we have limited classroom space in order to maintain that social distancing. And so we are trying to design the courses in such a way that students have options of how they can attend, but we still have a lot of students who want to be able to attend in person, but we can't necessarily facilitate all of them. So then we came across this need to have a way for faculty to let students sign up and communicate that consistently across courses of when they're going to be in, and kind of manage that setup. And so one of the things that we did is, using that ability that Canvas gives you to create LTI tools and to integrate with the API, we've actually created a student sign up tool that can be turned on in a course. the instructor can come in and they can create groups. So they can give some instructions. They can set a date when students can no longer sign up or change groups. But they're really just coming in and saying, okay, in our classroom, we're going to be teaching, these 3 days of the week, and we can handle 20 students each of those days. And, with the size of our class, maybe we can have students attend 2 of those days, or maybe we have an online option, or maybe we're dealing with things like labs, or whatever the case may be. They can create these additional groups that they can set these different limits with and see how many students have signed up, et cetera. And so they build this out, and then in that lead up to the semester, they can make this available so that students could come in. And when a student comes in, they see that list of options that are available. So I can say as a student, maybe I'm going to choose Monday and Wednesday, and I'm going to take the Tuesday lab. And they could go ahead and save that. Then one of the other things that the instructor can do is they can come in and they can see that list of students and what groups they've signed up for. And if I want to just look at who's coming in on Monday, I can filter down to a specific one of those groups. We can, print and download and email, that list. One of the other things that we added into this is the ability for the instructor to do some adjustments. So say, for example, a student reaches out to them, needs to make a change after the date. The instructor can actually act on behalf of that student and also can come in and, make any adjustments to what that student signed up for so that they can, accommodate any shifts that might have to happen throughout the semester as well. And so really just a fairly basic tool, but, giving them that flexibility to kind of track what students are going to be coming in when and, manage those resources as well. And so, this is integrated into Canvas using that ability that Canvas gives to create an LTI tool. So it's an external website that we integrate to Canvas through LTI. We're using the Canvas API to retrieve that list of students so that the instructor can see the list. And then when a student makes a choice, we have a database where we're storing the different groups, and we just store the student's ID with what group that they've signed up for. And so that when the instructor comes in, they can see that. But we're not storing any of that student data other than just like the unique identifier that Canvas has. Other questions about that one?
Yeah, I've got a question for you. So now, you guys have started, right? I believe you're starting to have students back on, back on campus or virtually. Have you had, how's it gone so far if students have been using this? Has it helped manage, where and how your students are participating? Has it felt easy for students to use?
That's actually one that I might hand off to Neil, since he's the one that's working more with the faculty in this regard. But
yeah, thank you. So certainly we are just getting, our faculty are coming back onto campus right now. Retreats and everything start next week, as well as our major faculty development conferences. Last week we had a 3-day e-learning conference, and Kenneth worked really hard to get this tool ready so we could test it with that group and run our first hybrid face-to-face experience. And since then, actually it was just yesterday that this tool was pushed out to faculty in a big email. And we ran that over MailChimp so we can see the stats on that email. And the number one, the definitely by far the highest clicked link was the one with the information about the student sign up. So faculty quickly have gravitated toward it. What we haven't yet seen, since this went out yesterday, is the mass student response to it. But we're certainly seeing faculty interest for starters. So we have high hopes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we'll have to check back, Mark. I think we should get this group back midterm and hear how these tools are working and some of the impacts that they've had. Just throwing that out there. Speaking of student interaction and preparing for this new student experience that we're all facing, or the different modes that you all are making sure students have access to. Ludwig, would you mind sharing a little bit about the tutoring tools that you have done and how that's going to help support students throughout their semester?
You're on mute still, Ludwig.
Yep. Okay. Good. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
You can. Yeah.
So, okay, can you see my screen?
We're getting all kind of Inception
sure
cool
can.
stuff up there.
That was a great movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so with the math department, we have
Hey, Ludovic,
the request.
we're still
new
seeing on
tool
there
to-
just the StreamYard screen.
The-
You'll click over
okay, so let me
click that. Yeah, click stop
you want me
sharing,
to stop sharing and share
and
back?
then go up to that place that you're going to share, and then click the share screen button. Do that. You can choose which screen to share if you want to choose the application or whatever.
Okay.
While we're doing that, while we're pulling that all up here, Kenneth or Neil, let's have you take this one from Brian. He was asking the same question about Jason, and I think you already answered that, Kenneth, with what you said. But with your solution, how did that sign up get integrated, build in, or current LTI? Why don't you refresh that one for us quick?
Yeah, so it's a custom-built tool that we've worked out at Utah State using Canvas's ability to integrate into LTI and using the API endpoints that are available in Canvas to do that. Now, it is something that as we work through and refine it, we may make available, if we can get the powers to be to let me do that, so that other institutions can use it as well. But it's really just kind of a homegrown thing, and we're really just barely starting it, so we're still trying to work out bugs. So it's not something that we have the ability to share at the moment, but who knows what the future will bring. So.
Yeah, and Utah State's a really great example of an institution and a team like this that leverages LTI really well. So even if it's not something that you can go grab today, seeing this, watching this recorded video, sharing this with your teams at your institutions, LTI makes it pretty seamless to be able to integrate something like this into Canvas, and then taking that and using that to either support faculty or students or both, as you've seen here. So yeah, we've got lots of resources on LTI. Sorry, Kenneth, I didn't mean to
you're just fine. I was stepping on you. So in essence, it just allows us to make things available right inside Canvas where students and teachers are, rather than having to direct them somewhere else. They're using that same login credentials and everything that they have in Canvas, so we can make it secure, but not have them maintain separate passwords. And it just gives that fluent ability to connect and speak back and forth with Canvas.
Yeah. And it's a great example of this. And this is going to be another great example of that.
Ludovic, take it away.
Okay. So, like I was saying, with the math department, they had a need. They wanted to have to move the face-to-face tutoring session to online tutoring session. Actually, they want to do both. So we have been approached by them, and working with them, we developed this tool. So the tool is called online tutoring, and then we have two different UI. We have the student UI, and then also we have the tutor UIs. So what we are seeing actually is the tutor UI. So how the tool works: when a student made a request, he can request an online face-to-face request. So the list of the requests will just come here for the tutor to see. We have an admin site who will add all those tutor and set all the different preferences for the institution. So let's go through quickly the request part. Let's say a student send a request. The request will come here, and the tutor will say, I want to check this and see if I can work on this. He open and see the detail of the request, and then say, I can do this, and then go back and say, I want to select this and send him my room link. So the tutor has a room link we can use to do the online tutoring. So when he selects a student and click on send link, he will receive this model with the link of his room. Also, he can also change the link if you want to use a different link and send it to the student. So when a student send a request, we use the Canvas API to get his student detail, like email and a number, all those details. And also the student phone number is optional. And if the student has his phone number added to the request, when the tutor send a link, the student will receive an email and also the text message with the link to that room to join the section. The only thing the tutor need to do is to just click on launch my Go board, and then it will launch the room for him and waiting for the student to join the section. On here, we'll see all the notification the tutor can turn on and off. The open room and see the list of all the tutor that are available at this particular time. We have also the scheduling part for the tutor. So, I mean, for the tool, we have 3 different modes. We have the queue, which is the on-demand, the scheduling, and then the open room. So for the scheduling, the tutor have to set his schedule. So he'll come to preferences and schedule, and then drag and drop all the time slot here. He wants to drag and drop for the semester. The schedule is recurrent until you change your schedule and you save it. When you save the schedule, the student will just, when he wants to do a scheduling, he will come here and see all your time slot and select the time slot he wants to take for the section. On the preferences, this is where the student will have to add all the tutor, sorry, will have to add all the information he will need for the section, like his email. This email is come from Canvas, but also we give the tutor the ability to change the email if he wants to use a different email. His phone number for notification, his room URL, and the room size, if he is open, and all the different status for him to look at it if you come back to the tool. Also, we have the admin part. The admin section is where the manager of the tutoring center will just add all the tutor he wants to add, sorry, and then also add all the subject he wants to add, the preferences. Here, for instance, we have the queue, the schedule. So the admin can decide to say, okay, in our institution, we don't want a schedule. We don't want an open room. We just want a queue. He can set that. He can set how long before the student can schedule a meeting or a request for a tutoring section, and the default duration for each section. He can also do that. And one fun part is here, all the requests made by the student. When you come to other requests, you see all the requests made by the student, and then you see the different requests, if it's completed or not, or who did the request, when the requests have been made, and so. And also they can download the request for the investigation or data analytics. They can do that too. So let's move on to see if I can show you how looks the student version, the student version of the tool. So I'm going to open this. So in Canvas, when you come on the dashboard, on the left side, you'll see this new icon we added to the tool. So that will launch the student version. So the student version used to be an LTI tool before, but it became a little difficult to add this tool to all the courses that need the tutoring. So we moved the tool from the LTI tool to just a simple web page. And you come down here, you can see all the open room, the subject they will be working on the open room, and the size of the room. When the student wants to do the on-demand, he just comes here and say, okay, I want to do on-demand. He says exactly how many tutors are online, the wait time, the approximate wait time, and the position in the queue, his position in the queue. He can select online or face-to-face. He can add a phone number and also add the description for the request he wanted to make. When he finished that, he just wait for the tutor to just send the link to him so he can join the room. We also have the scheduling. Let me show you how the scheduling works. So here you'll see all the tutor doing scheduling at this time. So when you click on one tutor, you'll see his schedule, and the student, actually we don't have any schedule set up here, but you'll see the schedule and the time frame. The student click on it and see all the information he needs to see, and then send his request to the tutor to see. So when we are doing scheduling, the request is sent not to the group, but just to that specific tutor the student selected. I think that will be basically the biggest part of the tool. Also here, we can mark a request as in progress or completed. So let's say I want to send a request I want to send my link to this particular student. I click on it, okay. send the link, and I will send the link. When you send the link, this is turned to in progress or pending till you finish your session, and you say, okay, I want this to be completed, and then you send the request is completed, and it will come to completed request. The tutor also can turn off and on all those notifications right here, or he can do that in his preferences. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I've got a question for you, Ludovic. So is this also a new tool for this fall, or have you started to use this within, it looks like you started to use it within some of your math department courses?
Yeah, this version of the tool, we launched the tool, I think 2 weeks ago to prepare for fall. So yeah, we started using it, 2 weeks ago. This version, we have an old version of the tool we used before, but this one is different. Yeah.
That's great. And have you seen other departments want to start using this as well, or have you heard from other departments as they're hearing about what math gets to do? And have you explored rolling it out to other departments?
Yeah, actually have been approached by another department, I think the computer science department, and they wanted to use the same thing, even though this is for math, but we're trying to see, okay, how we can adapt that to computer science, maybe add a code sharing screen for them to use. Yeah, we have been approached by different departments to do so. Yeah.
And one other thing that's kind of interesting with the math department is they actually decided that they didn't want to limit it just to math students. So they've actually said, we're willing to open up our math tutoring to all of our other departments. So if you have an engineering student who has having problems with a math problem for one of their engineering classes, they can still go in and sign up for math tutoring to help them with their other subjects as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That really supports a bigger approach to how you support your students, right? So if you think about doing this in other departments and allowing for that cross-pollination, that just helps the holistic student, especially at a time when they can't come on campus as often and be able to engage with a tutor around these subjects. That's great. What is this similar? This is also an LTI tool, an external page or an external website that you've developed and then you've linked into an LTI tool?
Yeah, it is just an LTI tool we've developed, so it can be used as a web page, but we integrate with an LTI tool. So the tutor version is basically an LTI tool, and the student version is just a web page. Yeah,
it's just a web page. That's great. That's great. Just a broader question. As you have looked to build these tools in preparation for fall, it sounds like you've got feedback from your students in spring, and that's directed some of this. I imagine you've gotten feedback from your faculty as well. How are you thinking about what to build, what's next to build? How are you prioritizing some of those decisions? Because these are great tools, and I suspect there's more that your community wants as well.
Yeah, that is a good question. Normally, it's wherever the biggest fire is that we end up getting addressed. Now, Ludovic, with that math tutoring tool, like he mentioned, he's been working on a previous version for a long time because the math tutoring wanted to extend online. So that one wasn't quite as reactive to the current circumstances. We've just made some adjustments to help facilitate that with current circumstances. But things like the sign-up tool, it was pretty clear that every single one of our courses was going to need something like that. And so that, helps us determine what has that highest priority is what are the biggest needs for our students. And that can come down from administration, that can come from some of the student evaluations and data gathering that the university has been doing to kind of help improve that experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any advice for institutions? I imagine we have some designers and developers that are listening into this or that will watch this recording. Any advice for those folks on how do you start approaching to build some of these kinds of things, or how do you think about where to go first and next, and both react to those fires, but then also think more broadly about what education is changing into, given where we are all at?
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as like the actual building of the integrations, getting to know Canvas's API and the different pieces of information that are available is incredible. Because I mean, we can have people say, well, what, is there any possibility of doing this? And because Ludovic and I play in there a lot, we can immediately start thinking through what information is available. And in general, if that information is available in Canvas, it's available through the Canvas API. It's just a matter of finding it and working with it. One of the other things that's really been a benefit to us at Utah State when we're not having to work remotely is that Ludovic and I sit surrounded by our instructional design team, which is also our Canvas support shop. So even though he and I are full-time developers, we get to sit by our amazing support team. And so we listen as they talk to faculty and as faculty call in with questions. And we're always have that really close connection with those who are working directly with faculty and getting that student feedback. And it allows us to just kind of listen in and then proactively, suggest things that we might be able to do to help out with that difference. So rather than relying on our instructional design team and our Canvas support shop to say, hey, Ludwig or Kenneth, is there a way we could have something like this? Which they still do that. We can also just watch and listen and say, you know what, that looks really painful. We can probably help you have a better way to do that as well. So,
yeah, I think
I love that.
Yeah. So I was saying, I think the thing that helps a lot with, before we used to do a meeting with the instructional designer once a week. So they do their thing, but when we figure that, okay, this we're doing the thing, we can have a better way to do it. We just jump in and just say, okay, I think this can be done through the Canvas API instead of using maybe a spreadsheet, but because one of the tools we've developed is exactly the same thing. They were using a huge spreadsheet, but it was like, yeah, we can just use Canvas API to do the same thing. So yeah, talking to those people helps a lot to see what we can do next.
That's great, and I love that advice to sitting with your support team and hearing what they're hearing and what they're experiencing. I do that too at Instructure. I make sure I'm sitting with the support team. I answer tickets. And we try as a team to observe that and do similar work that you're doing. Identify areas where just because you can answer a support call and you can solve it for somebody doesn't mean you should. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't, have something in the tool itself that can actually make that whole experience better. Because at the end of the day, even with the absolute best support, people don't want to have to use support. They want to be able to help themselves and do it for themselves. And so I would pass that same advice on to all those listening too, is listen into your support team, understand, ask us if we're helping you with support. What are the patterns that we're seeing specific with your school so that you can find ways to start to address it, whether it's building tools, whether it's just through training, information, communication. That gives you the power to help your users, your students, and your faculty do what they need to do without having to ask for help, which is what's just so incredibly powerful. Mark, for Kenneth and Ludwig.
I've just been here listening and being amazed that my alma mater can have this smart of people. Kenneth and Ludovic, I think they probably look at me and say, how did he come out of school? And then they see you and say, those are the people we want to highlight right there. So Kenneth, Ludovic, we're going in back to school. You're welcoming teachers back as we speak. Students are on their way back. What are the top 3 things? I want to talk Canvas specific. What are the top 3 things you're trying to get your teachers to do this year to make the education experience better for students? Is it the templates? Is it is it the online tutoring stuff? What are the big focus areas that you want to share with other schools as well?
That's an awesome question, and it would have been a much better question when Neil was still here.
Yeah.
But let's say I would think that some of the top ones are, supporting the teachers. We've got so many teachers who are, they want to be there for the students, and so a lot of them have not ever really taught online or in Canvas. And so we want to take away the hurdles that we can so that the teachers can still have that interaction with the students without having to battle the technology along the way. We also want students to have that connected experience with their class and with their teachers. So in the ways that we've started shuffling the courses and, making those different options available, not everybody thrives in just a purely online environment. So trying to find those ways to make it so that even if they can't attend in person, they have that broadcast option where they can see and get that interaction. And then I think really just one of the others is just trying to keep a pulse on what's happening. Listening and looking and getting that feedback so that we can keep improving that experience for both our faculty and for our students.
Ludovic, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think with the actual situation is just listen and go with the flow. We don't know what will change next, so we just be there and listen to them and see how we can help you. And if possible, we will help you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love that.
So Melissa,
listen and go with the flow.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. I was just going to say, I love that. That's, if I could share that with everybody, listen and go with the flow. It's a stressful time, and I get that, and we all get that. But just acknowledging that, and like you said, listening and helping and going with it, we'll all have a great experience. Students will have a great experience. Faculty will have a great experience. Institutions are going to do incredible work. We've seen it right here. We just have to have faith in that, and that we'll get through this. We'll find hurdles along the way, and we'll get through those too. Yep. So sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, perfect. Big thanks to Kenneth, Ludovic, and Neil. Neil had to head off to another meeting. We think he was actually going to get lunch early, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was meeting somewhere. We just shared in the comment section, everybody, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you're at, that is a link that just came out in our community this morning. So part of Melissa's organization runs the Canvas community. If you're not familiar with it, this is a group of 850,000+. We're nearing 900,000 educators from around the world who they're totally dedicated to helping other educators be successful. They're asking questions about Canvas. They're sharing tips and tricks. They're sharing templates in things like Canvas Commons. And that's the beauty of what Canvas really is. It's so much more about how can all these people like Kenneth and Ludovic and others help other educators to be great. Take a look at that link. It'll share about 90 of these live streams that we've done. You need help with conferencing, with course design, with tips and tricks, whatever. You can easily filter that blog post and find something that'll help you get up and running for the new school year. With that, Melissa, any closing comments from you before we say toodles?
No, I think this team said it all. Incredible work at Utah State. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Ludovic. Thank you, Neil, who had to hop off for lunch or the meeting or whatever that was.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to plan another one of these midway through the semester to make sure we check in on how all these cool tools are working. Thanks again, Utah State. Thanks, Canvas fam. We'll see you on Monday morning. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.